How are we, mate?
Good, mate.
Yeah.
I know I saw you pop up on social media, and I saw, oh, this guy's doing this podcast. So it was like,
Yeah.
Good Men.
Good Men Helping Good Men.
Helping
The
Good Men.
podcast, The Artistry of Humanity.
Yeah.
And we've got a few kind of pillars underneath that. We've got Good Men Helping Good Men. And we've got Good Women Helping Good Women, which is going to follow closely behind.
Yep.
And we've also got like a corporate side of the business, which is the Wellness Accelerator Program. And we'll move into our children's initiative, which we're kind of thinking will be good parents helping good parents. So it's the same kind of framework across the lot, just about fucking humanity. Really.
Yeah, and you're treating like a pyramid. It starts here.
Yeah.
To get to good men, it's got to go back to the parenting now, so they can train the younger generation to become those good men in 10, 15 years' time.
Yeah, 100%. How I see it, or how we see it, is you've got the reason we've gone Good Men Helping Good Men first is because there's a real problem in society right now, and I think like men are getting it up the arse, for want of a better phrase. 70% of all suicides are men. The leading cause of death within the ages of 15 to 45 is suicide. So I can't get that out of my head. Once I heard that statistic, I was like, you're fucking kidding me. 15 to 45 people are killing themselves ahead of any diseases, anything else, and I couldn't get that out of my head, and I was thinking, fuck, really? And then when I started digging in it deeper, then there's all the anxiety's gone through the roof, mental health illnesses. There's so many problems within society, and men seem worst hit for whatever reason. And you're lucky over the last 5 years or so, it seems to be getting worse. I think it's hit a wall because throwing the words out, toxic masculinity and all this type of stuff. Clearly, there's idiot men, there's idiot women. It's just a human thing, you know what I mean? And I was talking about it yesterday on the podcast. We talk about all these words, narcissism and
podcasts
and gaslighting and all that. And they're trying to. It's not. This isn't just a male trait. It's a human fucking trait.
Right. That's right.
We all do it. And like I would have done stuff when I was younger, and I'm immature, and I don't understand what I'm doing. And I think the key is, with men now, I think they've hit a wall. We're trying to kick back. It's like, okay, enough. You know what I mean? So what I want to help is men understand themselves, because we don't get taught it by our parents. We don't get taught it in school. So with this movement, there's some simple things that we're trying to help people understand. Again, across the 5 pillars of fulfillment, which is love and relationships to work and life. Right?
That's what it's called. Yeah, the 5. That's what you run.
The 5 pillars of fulfillment, and yet, by doing that, men can step in to be, true, real men, be authentic, be themselves, help, raise the standards of other men, help women. And ultimately, that's where we are now, because there's a real problem right now. And how do we stop the up and coming problems for men and women? We've got to get to the children.
That's right.
The children are fucked.
Yeah.
You look at social media.
Mate, we can go into that. Mate, there's so much stuff.
My missus has just moved into my place this week. We've been together 2 years. She was coming out of a divorce, 2 kids. We've took our time to make sure the kids were comfortable, understood I wasn't this big, scary monster, and it wasn't I wasn't the cause of this, and and all this. So softly, I think they've warmed to me a little bit. So she moved in, and even watching all of those dynamics, I'm talking to adults sometimes, and she hasn't got the attention span that we had when we were younger. It's like not there anymore. Children are struggling to have conversations with adults.
100%.
When I was younger, if my mum and dad, if friends would walk through the door from the ages of 10 to 14, whatever age, I could hold a conversation with an adult, and I could sit there for 5 minutes, and it was actually manners, how I was brought up. I would hold a conversation. Your daughter, and it's not her problem, just how she's programmed. She'll sit there on her phone, she'll be talking to me, and I say, she'll just go, sorry, what? And it's a complete disconnection. And I say it's like, I think they say like a goldfish has got the attention span of, I think it's got a memory of 9 seconds. Children have got attention span of 8 seconds.
And it's worse than how we were when we were. Well, you're in your 40s, aren't you?
Yeah, 47.
Yeah, okay. So 44 this year. So it was that 70s, 80s babies. There was no technology. There was none of that stuff. I'm finding it out now myself as well. Teenage kids,
Yeah.
And that the whole phone, like they carry it around like it's something that's become like a fashion thing too. They don't need it, but they want to take it with them as well.
Well, they feel they need it. They're just getting all the dopamine rushes, and they're just getting battered. And it's like, they're literally looking at stuff that humans shouldn't be looking at their age. They can't process, and they're just getting destroyed with murders, porn, fucking all good and bad things of masculinity, good and bad things of femininity, just fucking completely getting bombarded, and then they can't cope with it. We're actually not designed to cope with that much shit being thrown at us. And that's why anxiety, it goes through the roof. And they're sitting in rooms by themselves, and you talk to them like this. This is where social anxiety comes through, because they don't know how to interact with anybody anymore. And I'm first-hand witnessing it, because I haven't got children of my own, and I've now got children coming into my world.
So you've seen it now.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, dude, you're
It's scary.
That's what yeah, it's very scary. This is the main reason why I started this sort of stuff. You know, this podcast probably similar to you. You get to a point in your 40s, and you think, well, I've got this purpose. Like, I can continue and be that guy, have my own stuff, relax, whatever. But what's the point of living if you can't give back or be there amongst people to teach them, you know, how to live the right way, especially young men. And this is the thing too, like, with the rise, I don't know if it's feminism. I don't know what's created it, or the cost of living, having to have 2 wages now. So then the family household is disconnected because everyone comes home on their phones to their bedrooms, and doesn't have these dinner conversations or actually talk about their emotions, you know. And also, you know, women are strong, they're smart. The young girls these days, you probably really, they're switched on. Like, they're a bit disconnected in a way, but they're very smart when you do have a conversation with them. And I find that the boys, I don't know, sometimes I go, was I that silly that age? Was I that dumb? Not as dumb being cruel, but really, they're not thinking. So what can parents do to fix that? Take away the phones, and that causes arguments because they're not accepted.
I think, for me, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I think it's kind of bigger than just kind of one thing of saying, my parents fix it, because number one, it's not going to magically happen. And I think there's got to be that's why there's got to be a movement, and there's got to be a shift, and there's got to be kind of, you know, we talk around education, you know, they're educating now for a world that doesn't exist. So the children now are going through school, they're going to pop out, the world doesn't exist. And they're getting, as I said before, the kids are dealing with stuff that we never had to deal with, and it's fucking affecting them, and they're killing themselves at the very extreme. They're killing themselves. So what I believe is there should be some kind of, you know, a big drive between everybody, not just parents, men, women, adults, to realise our children, who are the next wave, who are coming through humanity. There's a real risk for humanity here. We're just going so distracted, so detached, forgetting who we are as a species, really. So I think there's we need to bring in different education, and that means from all the way through, from school through to parents, through to everything. It's this whole thing, and it's in its essence, it's quite simple. What does it mean to be a human being? Understand emotional regulations, because it's, you know, if we're looking at there's so much stuff, we can't stop right now. It's like the horse is bolted. I can't see someone saying technology is going to stop. It's not going to happen. No. Every parent's not going to say you can't look at that. So all of that stuff is coming. So what else? We can't fix all of this. We can't change this person talking like a dickhead because you move that one and 58 others are coming through. That doesn't work. For me, we've got to look at the core of humanity and let us understand what are we. So, and how can we decipher from what's good, what's bad? And all we can do by that is educating ourselves as a species. What is good and bad? And what's emotional regulation? When I get angry, what's happened? I've been triggered. Why have I been triggered? Somebody's crossed a boundary. What do I do when somebody crossed a boundary? Oh, I have to have a conversation. I have to have a conversation with love and empathy. And all of these things, if you're getting taught this from an early age, it doesn't matter what comes at you.
100%.
It doesn't matter what comes at you, because we're the movie. We're looking out in this world, and someone over there can be a big dickhead. You can be a dickhead. This person can be great. But if I allow them people to affect me, then it doesn't matter. You move, someone else comes through.
That's right. And then that's your life.
It is.
If you see that pain, if you want to see negative stuff, you're going to see negative stuff.
100%. So I believe there's got to, and that's why, again, like yourself, I'm not seeing. I have no trust whatsoever in a government or a country or anything taking the lead on this. I see, for me, everyone just wants to make money. Take away conspiracy theories and all that. Just on a nutshell, and everybody wants to make money. So media points to pain, fear, separation. It makes money. Great. Governments and all that want to make money. It's a business. Everyone wants their money. What we are, and what a lot of people who are waking up are thinking, we're not thinking about things for money. We're thinking about what is the fucking problem. And that's why there's got to be, it's going to be step up. It's going to be step up of men. It's going to be step of women. It's going to be step of humanity by ourselves, like a fucking tribe, to go enough.
Yeah.
We need to do something. And it starts from who are we?
Yeah.
So then whatever comes at us, we can deal with that. And I think the movement that I'm trying to create is, Good Men, once that we come online, we've got this kind of community of men ready to go. I can support in symbiosis with women and so on and so on. And incidentally, you mentioned parents, and I do see kind of good parents helping good parents, because we're not reliant on having to input something into an education system, because then you have to battle with government to go through all the crap. Again, I'm just relying on people, us, parents, men and women. And if we can get this movement up and running, and we've developed, we've got a whole book, we've got a workbook, we've got an app coming out. We've got an app coming out in about 4 to 5 weeks for men, and it'll then go across to the other areas. It's almost like our tool. This is what fucking being a good human being is. And something's gone wrong in my world. What is it? It's this. And that's where I think we get out of this. That's the way I think we protect where we are right now.
And going back, but like at the school too, like what happens if they bring in a subject, like an emotional intelligence subject? Wouldn't that be brilliant? Because that's what it's about, emotional intelligence, man.
Exactly right.
And if a guy has that and understands his emotional side, then he can be that man that society strives to have a man. And then the woman will then respect that man, the way my grandparents, I guess, worked. I don't know. Do you have to go through a struggle time to find that in the younger generation? Like to find that kick in the ass where they can't go and grab Nike shoes or grab this, whatever they want? Do they need to struggle? Does society need to struggle?
Well, I think we all need to struggle for the growth. But what you've just identified there is, I couldn't agree more. What you're saying is, in the education system, unfortunately, I don't have too much faith that that's going to happen. That's why I'm saying. But ideally, what does the perfect equation look like? It's all so men and women understand, because we've all got Trump right now. We just put our foot on the ball and say, what's the state of humanity right now?
We're fucked.
The majority of us are trauma riddled with passed on programming from our parents.
That's what we was talking about, generational trauma.
Exactly.
Right?
We passed on. I can clearly see, like I've been moving house this week with my missus.
So that would have been a big change.
Huge change, but like it was almost comical. Like working from 7 a.m. till 11 p.m. Not meant to, both downsizing. She's meant to be moving into my place. I'm getting rid of some stuff, and she says, "Oh, I'll downsize. Come in." Air removal is meant to arrive at 11. It's 12, 1, 2. Arrives at 2. I thought it's a small truck, and this massive truck comes in boxes after that. I'm like, oh no. Here we go. and I'm like, but it's then hectic, and I'm thinking, I've been working all day. I didn't realize it's going to be like this. She's getting stressed. I'm getting stressed. The emotional triggers come through. That's when the ego starts to come through, right? And there's one point which is actually comical. I don't know if you ever watched Friends. Yeah, where they go pivot, with they're trying to put the sofa up the stairs, and it gets fucking stuck. Anyway, it's a comical kind of thing within the Friends, but it was just like that. We got this bed stuck on the stairs with these two removalists, and they were there for half an hour. In the end, I had to leave it. I said, leave it there overnight. Tell everyone in the apartment you have to squeeze through this bed. I got a carpenter out the next morning off air tasket. You had to cut through because it couldn't unscrew. It was glue and nails, so we had to use this special tool. Anyway. It was hectic, and then we had to pull this thing over the 2 balconies with ropes and all this. But all of that brought a shitload of triggers. And I can actually now. I've been working on myself that much. I'm perfectly imperfect. I fuck up regularly, but I'm trying. And awareness is the key to the growth. But I can see my parents in me when I fucking do something.
Yeah, dude. That's when it comes out.
That's that. I can remember it. It's like, when you're going on holiday and it's a rush out and you're going out the lawn and your mum's going, "Hey, Ian, what that?" And it's like this heightened emotion.
Because she's stressed.
Because she's stressed. And I know my nan used to be like that. So it's heightened emotion. Rah, rah. It's in me now, because it's like, I can be like all leisurely. As soon as that pressure turns up and it's this certain type of pressure, this program comes through thank you that you've gifted me.
But you're aware of it.
I'm aware of it, but most people aren't aware of it. So if we put our foot on the ball in society right now, just like what's in me, everybody, the majority of people, unless they're really on that growth journey, are traumatically programmed not best to suit humanity. So we got to look at the ball and go, okay, what do we do? And it's awareness, it's education. And I think you mentioned on education. It could be as simple almost as a flick of a switch. I see kind of, all of the stuff that's coming through to us, whether it be through media, social media, podcast, TV, news. If all of a sudden we flip the switch and all of the shit that caused divisiveness, pain, thing, all of a sudden switch to love, empathy, this, emotional intelligence, this is how you regulate yourself. If the information come through to us differently, because we're so fucking programmable, because look at us, we're programmed.
Instead of alcohol shops, like mushroom shops.
Exactly.
Hey, seriously,
that would be, you know,
that would be bliss.
That would be a different, that would be like an overnight one. But everything that we get, because we are what we digest. If all of a sudden we started, the whole of humanity for a week started digesting love, empathy, emotional regulation, stuff like that, there would be such a transformation super quickly, because you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, the average of what you digest in your brain. It's like, if I'm going to sit there and eat burgers all day, I'm going to end up clinically obese and die earlier.
Of course.
It's like, it's the same with what you digest. So I think there's a pathway. I don't think there's a real desire. There's a lot of stuff they're shouted about, but I think it's all for show.
Yeah.
You know, by, you know, governments and stuff like that. It's
Oh, of course.
It's just a lot's for show.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's
entertainment.
That's why I think it's going to come on independent people and a rising of.
This is again why starting this, and it's seeing your podcast too. You know, what made you start that? Obviously, you know, you've got your purpose, but like, I know we're not touching too much on lockdown, you know, but in lockdown, that isolation, that solitude, you know, were you by yourself then?
No, I was with an ex-partner at the time.
Okay. But in that time, like that for me was a time I sort of realised a lot of things get stopped a bit. I wasn't socialising as much, you know. It's when you're out there and you're listening to things and you're not spending that time as a man, solitude, you know, have your own thoughts and find that inner self, man. That's when you can wake up a bit and you start to see those patterns, you know. Yeah, it's the control.
Yeah, it's a good point. And through COVID, I've obviously got a few businesses, and one of them was the Axstone business we were talking about before. And I moved over to the north side, to Narrabeen, out the way. Didn't have any kind of friendship circle too much out there. I was with my missus, and I think it was just after all the COVID crap. But I was already saying I was isolated during that time. My business is shut down. So then I had the pressure from a financial perspective. The business that I've invested all my kind of the money in the, you know, I used to be managing director in a logistics business. So I'd worked in 25 years corporate, climbed the ladder, made some money, come out, started my own business. Everything's going swimmingly. Then bang, shutters come down. All this COVID bullshit happens. I was like, oh,
That's a bad one.
So that was a real kind of dealing with that. I've never dealt with that financial insecurity all the time, and everything, you know, that I'd worked so hard for, we put under pressure. At one point, I remember the business account, I had $800 in the business account. We were like, oh shit. Thankfully, we got through it. We, you know, moved and shaked and come through. So I had all of that. Then the isolation, then moved away. And then I was in a relationship that wasn't right. Nothing against her. We just weren't right. You know, I'm a big believer within love and relationships. I think there's a success equation to everything. And I believe most men don't understand their kind of non-negotiable values in a relationship, so they just walk in, you know, on Tinder or the pissed, and you know, 6 months down the line they go, there's something not right here. It's not working. And that was for me. I'd done that for years and years and years. It was only in my most recent relationship where I said, this is me, and I think this is you, but there's a few gaps here that probably won't work for me. I'm just going to share now. I'm going to put my cards on the table. We had this discussion. We fucking joined up and said, okay, we're slightly off, but this could work. And then and it works now, because I'd never fucking done that before. But I didn't do that then. So I had financial things, isolation, moved away, relationship wasn't right, lonely as shit.
In the relationship.
Lonely in the relationship, surrounding myself with people that I didn't have a real massive connection to. I could be in a group of people and still feel lonely. And I went through that and then broke away, got my own space, split up. And then I've stopped drinking and stuff now, but I was going on the piss, trying to pull girls, stuff, going back to when I was like in my 20s and all that, thinking I was the man, and just trying to escape and thinking,
it is an escape,
having sex with women and all that, this is going to be great. So short term, and the next day I'm like, you don't feel
desensitized, mate.
No,
nothing left.
I just thought, you know, I'm 47 now, 45 or whatever at the time, and I was like, I got to the point where I was like, enough. I've done this before. This isn't success for me. I can do this all day. It's not big. It's not clever. It's not adding any growth to me. And I was out on the drink with a drink friend, and he was just talking drivel in my ear. And I'm looking around in this club. I was in Bondi somewhere, and I was like,
"You work out.
What am I?" I was like, "What am I doing here?" And I just dropped the drink, smoke bomb, went out. But I actually went home and I'd had a few drinks and I broke down.
Yeah, by yourself.
I broke down on the floor and I was in tears. And it was such a big release. And I was like, I'm so lonely.
That was when you realised.
And it just released. And I realised looking back, I've been so lonely, surrounded by people who were so lonely because I wasn't being my authentic self. I wasn't speaking my truth. I was kind of changing to be around the people I was with. So I was wearing masks with everybody I was around.
Trying to go sleep with the girls, be that guy.
Yeah. And I wasn't ever having a real relationship with people because I was always wearing this mask. So that came through. I thought, fuck, this is pretty deep. I didn't realise how dark I'd got. And so then it kind of went, okay. I realised I'm pretty low here. And it snuck up on me, you know. And I realised I'd had a couple of experiences in the work environment as a senior person where work can be very, very toxic as well. You can be very unfair. You're mistreated. You might not get paid well. And you know, you might have arsehole bosses who can really, you know, like being in a toxic relationship. If you've got a bad leader, it's like you've been in a toxic relationship, and they can be really poisonous. That can chip away at your soul. So I'd had that, nearly burnt out in work, had this, and I was like, fuck. And I'm relatively successful, you know, would be perceived. Look at him, go getter, doing all these things, but I'm fucking struggling here. And I'm emotionally intelligent. I would class myself as. I've been around the block. I think, fuck. If I'm like this, how many other people like this? And then I started looking into it, and I couldn't believe the statistics. I couldn't believe what was going on, and then I actually caught myself, and something had parked almost internally. I was actually, so this is what ignited me, and I thought, fuck, this is crazy. So I started working. I started working with a few men. I started doing my coaching again. I started drifting more away because the external business set up, got 3 venues, does itself, gives me a wage, great. I thought, right, I need to start. I'd lost my purpose. So I thought, right, what better purpose than the help of the men, right, let's go. So I started doing executive coaching, but then I started getting a pull to men and helping them. And what I was realising is for these 20 questions that I ask people, and across these 5 pillars of fulfillment, and they might ask me something about work, and I'd say, okay, well, they say, I want to grow my business. And I say, okay, well, answer these questions. And then they only go through the questions, and the vast majority of the members, as soon as they got to love and relationships, it was 0 out of 5. And it was like, because they didn't know the values, and then it was eaten into the work and life flow. And I've developed this equation that you can easily rate yourself on your fulfillment. Yeah. Understand where you are. The lower you are, the more at risk you are. And then there's simple tricks to pull yourself out of it. So I was like, just by experience and moving, I was like, fuck, we've got something here. And then I started working with men. Then I did a little community with men, and they all come through. And I did like workshops, and they had this big wow moments.
Like you understand.
They were like, oh my God, yeah. And then people were sharing with each other, and it was like people saying, this is like 10 years of therapy in 10 minutes, because you don't need fucking counselling and stuff. Sometimes you just need to go, it's not just me.
Well, this is where it goes to the young boys now. Sorry to go back, but that's just reminded me, like the groups, the peers, your counselling. Like I've had my friends who I could ring up when I was going through my dark times. You know, sad by yourself as a man. You know, but by talking about it, it creates this little bond, and just having a conversation. The way other men, it's not like this direct thing. Oh, you know, I'm this. It's not like how probably females talk about it, but just discussing it. Then you can relate to that, and then you talk about that same thing, and before you know it, 5-10 minutes, mate, you walk away and you're going, dude, that was the best conversation ever, because now I can relate. I know how to do things on my side now. And I think that's what men groups, you know, and this is what you obviously do as well, like having men groups. Females have their groups, but they're not doing that anymore. And I don't think the young generation, like they'll go home, their men group is online now. In their, it's got to be face to face.
That's where the real juice comes from, and you're right, because in like what I'm finding in those men groups, I've built some real strong bonds like that. You know, over the last 2 months, because I've really started kicking into the movement. It was all foundational stuff over the last year. Now it's all ready to go. I've got all these things moving and shaking, and no one's wearing a mask in there. Because they're coming and being real. Part of it is that we're sharing vulnerable shit. So we're wearing our soul. So I'm seeing you. Like previously, everyone's fucking... Most people in society, whether in business or whatever, they just hold the mask up so you can't see it. Yeah. In this, the masks are down. I can fucking see you. And I'm like... And you're telling me something. And I feel so connected to you, because I'm like, this courageous fucker is sharing his soul. I love that. I now know you. I'm going to share my soul back. Yeah. So you build these real bonds. And to go back finally to what you kind of asked me before, and why did I start this? I started doing it. I seen all these things, and then I unlocked something in me. I didn't even realise that my own cousin committed suicide, and I must have parked it down. I haven't spoken about it for years. My own cousin, a guy called Steve.
Was that what you mentioned before?
No, I didn't mention my own cousin. When I was younger, jumped off a tall story in Liverpool, and I found out about it off the radio. I was in work and I heard something jumped off. I said, Williams, what the fuck? And it was my cousin. And looking back on it, I now understand why. I went back to love and relationship because I've worked it back. Love and relationship, he split up with his missus, this, that, and the other.
Relationships.
And then and I seen how it eats up, and I kind of almost went back and retrospectively rated him on my framework, and I was like, fuck, you're at 1 out of 20, no wonder. And it's like, if people, so many people don't realise how close they are, and that's where it's like, and it's not like, although I've developed this kind of rating mechanism, which is nice and simple, and I call it it's about male fulfillment. It's not about suicide prevention. It's a big stigma about that.
Oh, yeah,
it's about male fulfillment. Let's keep ourselves happy.
Not toxic.
Yeah.
What do you call it? What do you call masculinity?
Oh, what do people call what?
Well, you get called toxic masculinity. What is it? What's your
healthy
opposite?
masculinity?
Healthy masculinity. That's what you got to call
healthy masculinity.
Yes.
Let's drive towards this. But like, if you were going to be suicidal, or you were going to be close to it, or you were feeling really low, how do you know? It's not like you're going to go, I'm 10% away, 55% away. Suddenly, it'll just hit like a ton of bricks, bang, and then you're in that space.
It's like being depressed.
Exactly.
Like I acknowledge sometimes.
Yeah.
I get to a point where I ask my mate, I'm depressed, and I acknowledge it, and I just talk about shit, and I'm fine. But I get to that point, and if guys don't talk about it, or young boys, and they just find a way out, you know. So how do you get to that point where you don't want them to, or boys shouldn't have to feel isolated, like a relationship breakups? You know, I speak to divorced men as well, and having that conversation, it helps them. And it's like, you understand suicide. Like, you get to a point, I get it. I get where people will go. I'm not going to do it, you know, obviously. Well, but people that are weak, men that not weak, just can't express or have no one around them to share that. That's why they do what they do, I guess. So what you having these groups like relationship breakups as well? Like what a lot of men, young men after relationships feel so alone and they can't express it. That's the question. Like that's it, and get past. A lot of men don't get past like you.
Yeah, because I think it's just an area. Sometimes I don't think there's the right type of messaging out there. I don't think there's enough healthy masculine role models. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of, you know, it's almost like the two extremes. You've got this way, you know, maybe way too feminine, and then you got this one who's just, you know, the ultra other end. You know, people talk about Andrew Tate, for example.
I think we're in the same ways.
You got 50% of what he's got is fucking, he's tapped into a real problem. 50% of what he's saying is fucking really good, and then he goes too far over here, and then he goes too far over there, and he alienates, and it's all this. And then what everyone's doing is, and as I said, going back to what the media do, is then they want to go and attack this thing. Well, it doesn't do anything by attacking that thing. Just, you know, get the win, shine light on some healthy masculinity.
Puts him up higher, to be honest.
Exactly. Like, just you know, just do your thing. I can digest what I want to digest. Show me all of the good stuff. Show me, highlight all of this, because the 50% of the good stuff that he's saying, these healthy masculines are saying as well. But then we're adding stuff. We're giving you tools. We're saying we fucking support women.
Yeah.
As fucking strong men. Real men don't put other men down no matter what. Real men don't put anyone down. You know, because we're all programmed. You know, I always say at our core, we're just a ball of love. But however we've been programmed by ancestral or parents or whatever. So we don't put anybody down. We are all bespoke. And I think, you know, naturally, maybe 70% of all men are more masculine because we're men, right? But there's also 30% who might be more in the feminine. Whatever, if you're fulfilled in that, fucking good on you.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean? And I think it's just about being a good human being. Men, women, it doesn't matter. And I think we need to shine a light on, because it's all there. You know what we're talking about? It's all there. There's a lot of people.
It's that gentleman. Like I say, bring back the gentleman. The gentle man. That's what's needed. And I found like this is the turn of times. Seeing hard times create strong men. Is it at the point where women are always? I just see women. They're just Mother Earth, right? They're beautiful. We came from women, you know. And is it because women become so strong where men, especially the younger generation, don't know how to serve that woman anymore? If they're taking jobs or become stronger in personality, like is at the turn of times where men are lost, not because I'm not blaming women, feminist, movement. It's more the fact is the jobs are taken. A lot of women educated more academically, better than males. So we're a bit slower. They're talking about, starting the year a bit slower, like we just are.
No, women tend to mature early and stuff, don't they? And stuff. I think, look, we're all just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out. You're trying to figure it out. Society is trying to figure it out because it's changed so rapidly. People say it's kind of being created or whatever it is, but whatever's happened has happened. And as you say, the old days of the guy going in his briefcase, going to the factory, whatever, white picket fence, missus is at home, looking after the children, all that. The whole dynamics has changed. You've now, for whatever reason, you got, and rightly so, if women want to fucking amazing, you need, because the balance of men and women, you need that balance. You need divine feminine, divine masculine in most things. But what it's now caused is men and women in the workplace struggling financially. Even now, it used to be one and you could afford the house. Now struggling, right? Children aren't getting much attention from their parents. They're learning from iPads and friends and daycare. So there's a big problem here for the future. A lot of the time the women have those motherly kind of feelings toward kids. Now, I can only speak for my missus, right? My missus, Katya, a beautiful, divine, feminine woman in a senior role, head of ASEAN for talent acquisition for a really big global business, is regularly, daily, for hours, running around her head about the fact that she can't do the things she wants to do for her children or me. I know sometimes, because I've got my own business stuff, I can do things on my terms sometimes. So even now, she's been there, she's back-to-back calls all day downstairs. Sometimes I'll be cooking, I'll make her some food. And I'm like, I'll knock on the door and say, some food out there, like a little...
It's changed, that's cool though.
Like a little fucking hotel, you know what I mean? I've got the little thing on the top and everything. There you go, babe. I enjoy that because I can do that for her because I have the time and I'll do that for her. But she wants to do that for me. But I know she can't, so I'll do that for you. You know what I mean? It's like, as a relationship, if she comes to me sometimes, I can see she's at 30%, so I'll carry the other 70, but I'll expect the other time back. When I'm at 30%, you carry the 70. Right. But at the moment, I'm trying to do that. But this is what, so a lot of women are in that space where actually they want to be, most women who are mothers, not all, and we're all bespoke, and it's perfectly fine. But there's a majority of women who are in work doing that thing, but looking at the children, I wish I could be more nurturing to my children. But society has pushed us there. And I'm sure there's a lot of men as well who are sitting there going, I want to be with my kid because I love being a father, I love being a kid, and looking sideways. If both of them are in there, definitely one of them's going to be doing that because one will be the nurturer, right? And one of them be kind of be looking after. So that's a real problem. It's a real problem because it's affecting people. It's affecting people, then it affects their relationship because you're like this all day. Fuck, I'm working. I want to do this. And then these two people come home, heightened emotions, not happy. And then what happens? Bang. They go with each other. And then what happens? The children who are already, in a bit of a shit show. Yeah. And then the parents coming home arguing because they're not happy, financial constraints, both at work, both stressed out. Kid says, can I do this? No, I'm busy. I've got to have my lunch. I've got to be, have the
and then the days roll over. The weeks go on. And that's
the spiral. And it's just continuing. And I think if you're emotionally intelligent and you can give the helicopter view of what's happening in society, you can look at it and go, yep, is any of this fixing it? Nope. No. It doesn't matter because it's all just fugazi.
It is fugazi. It's a fugazi.
It is. It's just like somebody talks about a big project over there, someone does that, the media put it like this, adolescents come through, picking on something, you'd have to open that to, the whole picture that needs to be looked at. There's adolescents, have you heard it? It's a show on Netflix.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, and it's got this real, problem within society to identify, but you need to open it whole up and look at it, look at all the nuances, understand it. If you want to do something with this type of thing, then we have to implement something properly to society. But it's like everything becomes tick box. You know what I mean? It's like they show this and then the government's saying, we're going to show this to all schools, this film.
And that's it.
Okay, great. Is that going to fix the problem? And I just look at it from a helicopter view. I always go back to what's at the core of everything, human beings. And it's almost like I look at it, I always go helicopter view, trying to simplify shit. We've got like, this portal of new humans coming through.
Yeah, it is a portal.
This portal, you know what I mean? The beautiful divine feminine is creating life all the time. But if you just look at it simply, you got humanity, everybody who exists right now, and then you got this portal of new humans popping through, right? And they're coming into a world which is literally getting worse, more divided. Technology is fucking send them loopy. We need to do something here. Because all of this stuff, it's so hard to go, right, let's fix this 1,000,000 problems that exist right now, or let's get to here. And as soon as they come through this portal, we fucking educate. So then no matter what comes into your world, because that's what we're doing.
That's what we are.
Because what you do is, as the spiritual journey or the growth journey, ascension, whatever the fuck you want to call it, you are getting to a point where you are a clean vessel that no matter what comes at you, you stay true to yourself. Right, that's it. Kids don't understand that.
No.
So if you get to this portal of new humans coming in and you give them the gift of this early, they'll never forget it, because once you know it, you can't unknow it. It's like the light bulb comes on, you can't unknow it. So no matter what comes at you, you're sweet. So for me, that's the only solution.
And 100%. But you gotta do that yourself to be able to teach that the new generation coming. That's where it goes back to, you've done work on yourself, acknowledge your faults. Had that breakdown after drinking with your drinking mate, woke up a bit, found your purpose and progress. But now you can teach that. You're a good role model, right? That's what, again, young...
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. But we're all, like I said, we're not 100%, we're not perfect. I'm very open with my kids in ways, to a point. They know me. They know all the different sides of me, not just, that's it. I just want them to know who I am. The mask is off. You take that mask off, then whoever comes to you, like that, just be open. I'll take you, however you are, I'll take you. 100%. Guide you down the right path. That's it. If you can take that mask off, and lead by example, that's how you teach them.
100%. Couldn't agree.
So you got to work on yourself, dude. And I think I'm freaking brilliant. Nick's going through it too, mate. He's a young 20-year-old, 20 plus, 27-year-old, 28-year-old, 28.
Okay, mate.
But he's smart. He's doing this, and this is why he's an inspiration in his generation. Oh, let's see, we need role models, right? And there is I think I said this to you on the phone, when we spoke. It's like there is a awakening of some spiritual warrior soldiers coming out, and it's not a chauvinist or arrogant or whatever against women. Mate, women are beautiful. That's why I actually bring women on. I love talking to women. Being single for ages, how to learn more about me was being around women. I could let those guards down and learn my emotional intelligence, and then I can now express it. It's like whatever, not being judged.
100%. I agree with you, and I think my missus is really just brought a click to my life. I like a level up, something that was missing. I feel at peace. I've never been at peace with someone. She's got this really soft divine presence. As long as I allow her to be in that shape, if I get triggered, because we're a mirror, right? I'll trigger this because I can see she's had triggers, past relationships and stuff. She had some real problems in previous relationships which really affected her. So, but naturally at her core, she's very at peace. She's a divine feminine woman. So as long as I'm not triggering and I'm being my best masculine self, loving, if fuck around with her, have a laugh, she loves it, and she can melt in around me, and then it melts me, and we just got this beautiful relationship. It adds so much value to my world. I didn't know, because I'd never been in the right relationship. I was like, I'm just not down. Relationships aren't right for me. And I got to that point where I was thinking, it's not adding value to my life. It must just be me, until I met her. And now I'm like, oh, I get it.
And it's when you found that.
It was. I found that. And again, with this one, it was the first kind of girl I've probably gone over too sober. I've always been on the piss in a club or Tinder or stuff like that.
That's what it's built on.
And I went and met her in a gym. I liked what she was doing. She had about 3 machines, towels in them all. I was like, this girl's killing it. You know what I mean? Head down, doing her things. And I just went over and said, I like the way you train. And we started a good chat. We already had a good value about the gym and stuff. Looked after herself, and it was the first girl I've ever gone into sober. Now we live together, and it's the best relationship I've ever been in. But I do believe that we do need women. We do need. But you're right. You're talking about that kind of almost spiritual warrior coming through. Now that I think this new wave of men, real men who are stepping up, we're not bad mouthing anyone. We're not being negative. We're showing the way.
Yeah.
saying this is the fucking way. Real courage is being vulnerable, being honest,
Being vulnerable.
being vulnerable.
That just give me goosebumps. It's the vulnerable, and I say this before. I met someone as well, and for the first time, I just felt I could be vulnerable around this person. I had tears running down my face, mate. And I was like, "What's this going on, man?" And I felt so comfortable. I was like, "Okay, that's all a man needs," Like I mentioned before, at war, men go to war. If they pass away, they're always screaming out for their mums. It goes back to the women. It's just, as men, we want to feel more vulnerable, especially just like a child to their mother. That's what I think is the vulnerability. Once you can feel that, then you can continue being that man.
Oh, 100%. It's a good point. I hadn't thought about it in that way, or I hadn't.
Well, she makes you feel softer. You said calmness.
Yeah.
Like to feel that calm. That's what a man needs. That calmness, mate. There's no issues. Just this calmness that comes across, and you're like, "This is beautiful, dude." It's like being in the arms of your mother, right?
Yeah, I say.
In not a weird way, but you know what I mean. It's this
trying
weird.
to tell me something.
European, bro. It's this womb. Well, obviously, we're in the womb. It's this Mother Earth thing. That's
You're spot on, and I think it is. It's like, because a lot of the time, like, I feel like shit goes on, but I can be relatively calm. I can deal with a lot, quite resilient. But I've been in relationships where I can walk through the door and I'm getting thrown more pain, more shit, more emotion.
That's the usual.
I've just come from this.
Yeah.
I just want peace, and the stuff that you're throwing out isn't necessarily to me, but it's heightened, and I'm like, I just need peace. I've just come from work when I've got no peace, and I come home, I've got no peace, and I'm like, and to have the majority of the time from a missus peace, it's so gold. That's all I need. I just need peace. I don't need much.
And that's all we like, isn't it?
I'm doing my thing.
Yeah.
I'm kicking goals. I've got a purpose. I've got a mission. I want to help humanity. I want to save lives. I want to improve fulfillment. I've got that. And when I come home, I want fucking peace. Mm-hmm. That's it. And I'll love the shit out of you if you give me that.
100%, man. You'll serve them breakfast. You'll give breakfast, man. I'm the giver. You give.
I'll give anything.
I love this. This is a thinking man, right?
Yeah.
That's it. If a man, whether it's work or hunting, whatever, they need that bit of peace before they go home. They used to have the rock and they used to sit down and think for a process stuff, head home. If you come from work, whatever, into traffic and go home as a man now, and you cop that, because no one's dealing with their shit, or there's lack of emotional intelligence, whatever it is, that's what turns to like toxic relationships.
Yeah. And they say the worst prison is being a prison of your own mind, and that's what a relationship can be. Because if you've got a toxic relationship, or you get an absolutely zero peace, I've said it before, I have a vision of just having you've got your own little prison bars on your head, and you're just walking around because you've got no peace at home. It's like you're in a prison warden, just running around back and shit. Get in your car, you're thinking about that shit. You get into work, pain. You come home and then you think, okay, what am I going to do the weekend? But you're with your missus in the weekend in this kind of relationship and people, and you're just sitting there with this fucking prison. It never leaves you. You can't escape it. And a lot of men are in that, and what they don't realise is once you break free of that, it's like freedom. People stay in that, and they stay in it for multiple reasons. Maybe family, children, this, that, the other. If you are in something that feels completely against your authentic self, against your DNA, make the step, because on the other side of that is usually where the magic happens. It'll feel fucking painful. It'll be better off for your kids if you're just in this toxic relationship, because your kids are getting programmed just watching, going, oh, is this what a relationship is like? Yeah. And then they've got to unpick it later on. Oh, relationship is we show no love, or we just fight every day, or we talk at Hysons.
This is how I treat a woman, this is how I treat a man.
Yeah, I'm just going to bark at you. You're barking at your missus all day, or she's barking at you. I'm going to find a relationship that does exactly the same. So you're actually poisoning your own children. You're giving your children a shit start at existence, because they've got to wait till our age and then go search and do whatever you've got to do to start unpicking it.
That's right.
Do you know what I mean? So make the step, be courageous, be bold. But a lot of people are sitting vanilla land, and like within my relationships, mine was a bit like death by 1,000 cuts, because sometimes they weren't that toxic, but over time it chipped away with it. Again, eventually when I broke down, it was obviously a culmination of all stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think sometimes we should make that move, make that bold step.
It's like chasing the toxic. I think I said this before. Sometimes it's fun, like you're in toxic. A lot of people like that. They pull away, they get back. It's tough to break that chain. It is tough. It's tough to be a good parent.
Oh, 100%.
It is hard, man. It's easy to just go watch this, do that, see you later, focus on myself.
Yeah, and I'm seeing that firsthand now because I'm watching kind of folks who are trying to develop a relationship
You're
with
learning
the
more,
kids
mate.
from afar.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to scare them and say, come in like, Sergeant Major or say, that's not good. It's hard. It's hard for me witnessing that actually because you just touch on the children because obviously I love my missus and as the man that I am, I don't like anybody bad mouth. I don't like anybody bad mouthing anybody. Where I am now, I don't throw shit at anybody. I believe in doing things the right way. I believe in being a good human being, and when I watch people treat my missus in the wrong way, sometimes the children might treat her in the wrong way, or ex might treat her the wrong way. Just because of the way they're programmed. They've got no bad intent in there. Just
because you understand, so you're not snapping. Going, what'd you say?
Yeah, so I have to watch.
Sure.
It fucking hates me because I love her so much to see what she has to go through, and she's taking the long route. Where the children are going to be through a breakup, not their fault. They're going to be have traumas through that, and she's taking a real long route and trying to just give love, and win the day through breaking through over time. But I have to witness sometimes. I have to just walk.
Because you're the man, you got to fix it.
I've had to walk. Like, yeah, I want to go. Hang on a minute, and me as a man, if I have children and they try to speak to my missus, even if I fell out and even do right or wrong, I'd say, don't talk to your mother like that. I would just be straight in there, and I don't think that's ever happened. And so the pattern's built up.
And you're seeing it, wow.
And I'm seeing it, and that's a tough one for me to
tough
kind of be around. And I'm having to kind of.
That's what I asked you. Like you've had your own place.
Yeah.
I've had my kids for 7 years, a bit longer than that by myself, and it's been a process. But you learn all that stuff, and not having a female or a mother around as well. And as a guy, I want to fix things all the time. I just came and said to Nick, I've got to learn to shut up a bit. Like, seriously, I'm always explaining stuff to my kids, and it's fine because it's a different generation, but I'm still learning. Teenage years are coming. I'm still learning now. So I'm you're always going to learn. Yeah. You think you're on top of the mountain, everything's fine, right? And then bang, there's always a price to pay, man.
It's for me, it's a difficult one just because of I'm not, not the parent. I'm just coming in and I'm coming in. For me, I'm thinking just trying to develop a friendship at the moment. Just take time so they really trust me, understand me, and
you can't be upset about it. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was told myself. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't take it personal.
4 agreements. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, that's it. It is. So okay, so your app, because we can talk for ages. Definitely. Yeah. So your app, what will that help? Tell us. What's the purpose of that app?
Okay, so the app again. I was doing workshops. The reason why I moved into the app because I was running workshops, and we've had 100% strike rate on movements. Ran out like a 50-man workshop, for example, and all 50 men, we do this rating system, these 20 questions, and they start and like big light bulb moments. Fuck, people are getting scores of 5 and 6. And then simple pathway to go. Fucking hell! If I do this, it's like. Progress creates fulfillment, which creates fulfillment juices, which makes you happier, right? So, and then there's this consistent way of operating. So realised, fuck, this is like 100% strike rate of movement. I'm not saying everybody goes from, 4 to 20 or to 100%.
Take steps,
but they all move because it's so easy. There's simple things. I'm a big believer in there's genius in simplicity. So don't overcomplicate it, don't go too deep. So this was working. I was like, okay, now the vision I've got is, as you've said at the very beginning, things need to happen on scale, need to happen right now because we're suffering big time. Men are suffering big time. Humanity's suffering big time. So I thought, how do we get out to the masses with this? So straight away, I'm like, am I going to kind of try and do this on a small scale? Because workshops, retreats, stuff like that. Great. Could be financially great if you look at it from a business or that and effort versus reward. Okay, yes, I could do that, but it's not going to be the scale. I want to create something that's not there now that can help hundreds of millions of people. So I was like, right, how am I going to do this? So I started working, pulled me. I've got a genius, like your man here, and I've got a genius. I've got my own Yoda, Hendrik in Germany. Hats off to Hendrik.
Oh, he's in Germany.
Yeah. He used to work for me. He came out to Australia, worked for me a few years ago when I was in corporate. He's back there now, but we've done quite a few projects together. We're basically a team now. Yeah. Anything I do, I bring him.
That's the best.
He's an absolute legend. So I brought him in, started again. I said, let's do this app. All of a sudden, it started small. Now we've really grown it, and there's 2 elements to it. There's the kind of almost your own personal fulfillment mentor following you, kind of a weekly check-in. Where are you? It gives you actions, right? Okay, and it gives you actions. It gives you a rating. So you got this. This is where you are. You're currently at 35%. we recommend you do these things. There's videos, there's
That's brilliant.
Bugalogs here talking to you,
Yeah,
kind of saying,
course.
this is
Money
this,
maker, baby.
this is this is this, point you in the right direction. But there's a community aspect to it as well. So within the community, you can, we could be in here, you could be in Sydney. I'm lonely, right? Or I just want to connect with the men and have a, growth buddy. What it does is it opens the door. If you put it on, open to connect to others, what you'll do is you get the algorithm that connects you to people who might suit your profile. So if you're strong in love and relationships, and another guy's weak in love and relationships, you might get he'll come through and he'll then say, hey, can we connect? I'm really struggling.
Oh, that's great, man.
Okay, and you'll say, no problem, mate. And then he might be strong in an element of work and life flow, which you might be struggling in. You two then connect outside the app, so you exchange your numbers and you go out. But then you connect within the app, so you both have your score, so you can look after each other. So if you haven't seen him in a couple of weeks and you see he does his rating, it's dropped off. Hey brother, you okay? I've seen you really struggling. We okay? So I'm trying to get people to connect, and there's also going to be, what we're going to do is the men's circles we've been doing. The reason we've been doing them because I want to do them on scale. So we'll also kind of have an element in there where this is how you do your men's circles, just basic cookie cutter, basic standard process, and then within there you can all be on the app and you can have your own men's circle score. So as a men's circle, you can have group score, so you can look after each other. So there's group score drop too, so and you can kind of come through. So I see that popping up. I can see it globally, all with this framework.
Yeah.
And then as it all clicks up, our fulfillment clicks up. More people move away from that risk step, and I can see a direct correlation between reducing suicidality. Yeah. And to give you an example of how impactful it's been, something that got me really emotional when it happened. I've only been doing the podcast for a few months. We've launched our Instagram a few months. I've done 3 men's circles in Gucci. A guy flew in from Melbourne, a guy called Hayden, and I didn't know. So I run this men's circle. I'm there. I said, anybody got anything to share? He pipes up straight away and he stands in the fucking circle and he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, I'd just like to say I had a noose hanging over my banister. And he said, and he looked at me in the eye and he said, the reason I'm here today and I didn't hang myself is because I listened to the podcast of you 4 lads and I resonated so much with what you were saying that I realised it's not just me. And he said, I'm here today because of that. That fucking gets me.
That's beautiful, dude. That's what you want to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's nice, man.
And I was just like, fuck. And I was like, so courageous for him to come and say that. I just gave him a big hug. It meant a lot. And I'm like, well, if nothing else happens from this movement, we've already saved a life, so fucking let's go. And that just told me, what we're doing. And already now, because it's getting a bit of movement, we're getting all these messages coming in.
You're on the right path.
Of support and people who, want to be involved. When's the app happening and stuff like that. So we know it's working. So we know it's working.
That's the proof there.
100%.
How good is that? And that feels good, mate.
Yeah, so
that's what you want. That's the payment there, mate.
100%.
And you'll do the same for females eventually, you're saying.
Yeah, so basically the model will go on. So my Mrs. Katia will be heading up Good Women. Yeah. So she's going to run her first women's circle within the next month. And with the methodology, what we have, we effectively have a workbook which we've then implemented into the app, which will be a book in the near future. And we just put the feminine slant on it. And rather than me just kind of trying to bastardize it myself, it needs to be authentic. So it's giving it handed the framework to the divine feminine and said, put the feminine touch through that and make it real and authentic. Then they're going to run some women's circles, test the methodology, get all the make sure it's working. Our app comes into play, and then we'll launch this one. And then what we'll do is bring them together. Men and women in symbiosis.
Couples. Men and women in symbiosis, just to support each other. And that will create the role models for both genders, basically, and start to,
100%. Myself and my partner, Katia, we both coach as well. So I do executive coaching, but I've moved more to kind of life coaching, so with men, specific around the good men model. And I've dropped in, because I do leadership stuff, so I've dropped in a couple of people through to my missus as well. And it's funny because what I do is, from a men's perspective, I'm challenging, like some of the men, old school, you've got a couple of Islanders who have coached, who come from that, culture of maybe more men, women, and stuff like that. So I'm challenging them. And I'm saying, consider the woman, consider what she does. When did you last do something for your missus? have you took the lead? You do realise that you're allowing us. The reason she's doing that because she's stepping into a masculine, because you're not stepping into your masculine, because the masculine takes the lead. The masculine takes the lead, books the thing, sorts it out. As much as I don't like booking stuff and I'm always moaning about it, something I've got to deal with it. My missus, when I do take the lead, she loves it. She melts, and then it brings them more into a feminine. So I've challenged them, and when they come to me, they think I'm gonna, if they think they're gonna come to me and badmouth women and stuff, and it's just gonna be just shit. So I'm gonna say, hang on a minute, talk to me. And usually within the first 5 minutes, I'm challenging them. Actually, I think you need to do this, 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 and when you do this, watch for the response. And all they come back, oh, fucking hell, I did that thing. When they'll say, one of the ones I always say to people, one of the easiest tricks is, if your missus is like pissed off or going in a loop and stuff and something's going on, just simple things like you just go over to her and go, I fucking love you, pinch your ass, have a little fucking, and they go, oh, and
stop it.
Your masculine can snap them out of it. It's just like if you say, do you want to go to the cinema? No, not really. But you can pick them up, spin around, let's go to the cinema, and they go, all right then. Yeah. You can just snap the simple tricks that you can do, but
just pick a flower.
Exactly. So I'm doing the hair. Exactly. I'm doing those things, and my missus is doing the opposite. She's challenging what are you doing for the man? Yeah. So that's why I think men and women in symbiosis, rather than the old school saying, oh, we're all men or we're all women, we're already challenging the other way. She's going, well, consider the man's perspective. And it's working. There's a couple that we're working with separately, and we can see them coming together because they're both starting to consider each other from the opposite aspect. Because the woman's listed the woman's view of how of a man, and that's why I see this good men and good women will really, really help bring them together especially from that love and relationships pillar.
That's excellent. Yeah. So you find the right partner, see?
Yeah.
Hey? And you're learning from the kids.
Yeah.
It's all part of it, right? Yeah, keep learning. Mate, you're brilliant, dude. I'm so happy you're connected with you, and we'll definitely keep in touch.
100%.
I want to follow you, mate, and I'll put your stuff up as well.
Oh, thank you.
So when is your app going to be released?
Oh, the app should be up in about, I think we're like 4 to 6 weeks away. We've got this. I'm working. Obviously, we've got Hendrik in Germany, but we've got a software team who we've got an agreement with for our first MVP model. So we're just making sure we get the maximum out of this MVP model before it launches. Yeah. We're very, very close. So maybe for the next 4 to 6 weeks. And when it does, what we're going to do with the app, initially we're going to put it out for free. Yeah. We'll just be obviously option for donations because it's all my hard-earned life savings going into this. And it feels like a divine calling and throwing everything at it. It's a lot of money that goes into the app. There's not going to be much left from a security for myself personally, but I believe in the movement. And I believe that abundance mindset and doing things right will ultimately, that energy exchange of the universe decides I deserve abundance, it will come. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I trust and believe in what I'm doing. So I'm fully funding it myself. So I'm thinking about 6 weeks, we'll get everything we need. And then probably, hopefully we'll tweak it. And then maybe in about 2 or 3 months, we might be in a position where we know the value's there and we'll introduce a paywall, and then there'll be a paid subscription, and hopefully everyone gets a huge
and throw ads in and then premium to like Netflix.
Yeah,
no, that's good.
We're close.
Well, that's when things happen, when you're sticking to your purpose, and and I think you're a great role model. And mate, like I said, we'll keep in touch.
Thank you, brother.
And thank you for coming on.
No, you're very welcome.
And I'll put your podcast up too, mate. That's pretty good as well.
No, thank you very much.
Really good, mate.
We'll have to get you onto mine.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, of course, mate. I'm open. Mate, this is the movement.
Let's go.
Thanks, Ian. I want to say throw some axes too.
Anytime, mate.
What's it called again?
Kiss my axe.
Kiss my axe.
Kiss my axe. I'm not swearing at you. That's the name of the business.
I'll put that up as well. That's for axe throwing, right? If you wanted to get your attention, like
that's right, mate.
Viking style, mate.
That's it.
All right, thanks, Lee.
All right, mate.
Thanks, dude.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, dude.
Cheers,
Thank
mate.
you.